To replace the parking brake cable on the passenger side, you're going to have to take off the wheel so you can take off the brake drum. So 19mm socket, remove all 5 of your lug nuts. At this point, you're going to want to remove the drum. If yours is stuck on there, then you can hammer in the middle, spray some rust penetrant, just try to get it free. Just try not to hit the studs when you hammer it around the studs. Slide it off. Next, you want to remove this top spring first. I'm going to clamp on some locking pliers nice and tight. Just try to guide it off of this retainer here. The next thing I want to do is remove the spring that holds on the adjuster. So just pop it off. Finish taking that off. Perfect. Set that out of your way. Now to fully remove this adjuster, I'm going to take off this spring. Now I can take the adjuster and just push it forward. It's going to be a little stuck in here. Perfect. Now take the spring off. And the last thing holding this shoe on is that retainer. To remove that, I'm going to put some locking pliers on it. You can do this with other tools in several different ways, but this is how I like to do it. I think it's a little bit more controlled this way. Hold the pin from the back side, push the locking pliers in, spin this 90 degrees, and this little cap will unlock. Has a slot that only fits one way on this pin. Remove the pin. Now you can take this shoe and slide it out of here at the top first. There's another spring on the bottom that we'll take out in a second. Once you twist it, now you can pull the spring off, and all you're left with is, oh, the adjuster is falling out. Remove that too. And now all you're left with is the parking brake cable lever and the cable itself. Just pry it out of this hook here. Perfect. Now you see these locking tabs here. You can either take a tool and press those in and then slide the cable through the backing plate, or you can just break them off with a pick or a screwdriver. I think that's the easier method to do, since we're obviously replacing this cable. There should be 3 in total, 1 at the top and then 1 on each side. That's number 2. And I guess I don't even have to take out number 3. Just pull it out from the back. Now if you follow this cable, you'll see 2 retainers that hold it on here. You're going to have to unhook those. And with a pry bar or a screwdriver, you just want to open it up. There we go. That lets go of the cable. Same to this one. Perfect. Now let's go to the driver's side. On the driver's side, you'll notice that it has this plastic retainer here. Pop that off and take it out of this bracket. And at this point you can pull it through all the way if you wish. And for me, the intermediate cable is actually broken, which is why everything is hanging at this point. But let's pretend that it's not broken, and I'll show you how to do it the right way. So on the intermediate cable, you'll see this clip here. We're going to have to spread the ears on this retainer so we can pull this part of the cable out. I like to take 2 needle nose locking pliers, lock them on nice and tight here. 1 here and 1 here. Once I have these locked on, I just pry this out, and as I spread it apart, this should pop off. Alright, so I tried off camera and this thing is not going to come out. And I do have a middle cable, which is this one right here, which came with a new sleeve, a locking sleeve. So technically what you'd want to do, you just pry these apart. I'm just going to use the new cable and the new sleeve on this one. It's going to take a long time for me to try to separate this, and it might even damage the sleeve, at which point I'm going to have to buy a new one anyway. So continuing on, up here you'll notice that the driver's side cable is actually hooked onto this one, so remove it from its bracket. And at this point we need to salvage this bracket, so what I want to do is break off these tabs just like we did earlier. That's 2 of them, and with 2 out of the way, I can pull this sleeve up and out. I'm going to slide it all the way to the end of my middle cable, take it out. Obviously for you, you would just slide it off of that cable. And here's your passenger side parking brake cable. Slide in your new cable. I'm going to put it through that hook there, and then just push it through all the way. I'll hang the rest later, wherever it needs to go. All right, now put it through this hook right there. Don't forget to slide on this bracket. Lock it on. There we go. And of course for me, this will slide on. If you still had the original, which was hooked up front, you'd have to use something to pull this cable out. If your parking brake, if your drum is off, you can most likely just pull it by hand and get it in here. But basically you want to slide it into this little slot, pull it back. I'm going to use some locking pliers again, just to help me press it into place. Kind of just slowly pushing it in more and more, which is exactly what I need. All right, that's it. If you wanted to give this a squeeze right here to make sure that it's properly locked in, go ahead. I like to do that every time so that I make sure that the cable isn't going to pop out the other side every time you apply the e-brake. All right, that's nice and tight. Let's continue. Okay, now let's re-secure it over here and over here. Take the cable, slide it in through the hole here, press it in all the way, and now lock it in. Perfect. Let's take the e-brake cable and reattach it onto the brake shoe. And if it's difficult for you, you can get some locking pliers and pull out on this. That'll pull it away from the spring. I'm going to hook on this bottom spring, and I won't worry about the adjuster yet. I can put that in a little bit. For now, what I'm going to do is line it up with the top here. Before I line it up with the top, go ahead and reconnect the spring if it popped out for you. Now line it up with everything on the top. Now let's put the spring back, push the pin through the back side, line it up, twist it 90 degrees, and let go. That should lock in. Now let's get this top spring on. I'm going to use a screwdriver and just guide it into place. Now let's guide this cable down to where it needs to go. I'm going to reinstall this spring, just let it sit right there. And now this adjuster, slide it on and then push it back to lock it in. Now let's put the spring on the adjuster. That spring isn't very strong, so I just grabbed it with a pick. And now this spring, if you remember, goes from behind. There we go. Let's put the drum back on. Let's get the wheel on. Put on all 5 of your lug nuts, snug them up, and then torque them to 100 foot-pounds.